Hello, everyone. Welcome to another live stream podcast for the Polynesian Eyes podcast here. Going live on Facebook, YouTube, Patreon, Instagram, X, or in Twitter. Hello, Mr. Atearoa. Masi, how are you and how is the day going for you?
Thank you, Tua. Doing pretty good. Friday here in New Zealand time. Getting dark pretty fast. It's only 5:30 and just barely light outside. Still a little bit cold. It's our kind of cold, windy, rainy season in New Zealand. But overall, it's good. It's Friday. Fridays are always good. But how you doing? How's your day?
Not bad. Friday for me tomorrow. Good day at work. Finished off at around 5 p.m. All right. Well, I think to close out today, Mussy, we are a little bit behind on some responses on social media.
Okay.
And we did have some responses that were videos.
Mm,
Um
that will go through that you wanted to go through.
yeah, we'll respond to some of the
Okay.
TikTok responses to some videos. Um so let's start with this one. We'll share this tab and we'll go here. Start with this one, and it started with us a response to some of our videos.
Aloha TikTok. Aloha mai kākou. So
Hey.
this comment says, I
Mm.
appreciate the thoughts and your naming of the direction.
Oh, let me pause. Wrong one. Maybe it's this one.
In
There we
Samoa,
go.
there's really no structure.
Aloha TikTok. Aloha mai kākou. So every time I see these guys on my FYP, I think to myself, man, these guys just don't get it. But it's okay. It's okay. Their argument is that they're saying that there is no physical structure or tangible evidence that highly suggests that there was a Tuimanua Empire. Now, in this video, let me give them some tangible evidence. Now, I'm going to use our languages, all of our Polynesian languages. The way Polynesians determine north and south, east and west. Now, let me focus on north and south because east and west is pretty easy. You can see that when we're the sunset and sunrise. But north and south is pretty important. In Hawaii, they determine north and south through the direction of the winds. The Ko'olau winds to the north and the Kona winds to the south. Ko'olau translates to Ko'elau. Ko'elau translates to Tokelau. Kona translate directly to Tonga. Ko'olau to the north, Kona to the south. Same goes for Tahiti, same goes for Uvea and Futuna, same goes for Niue and Rarotonga, and Tokelau too. Same goes for the Cook Islands, same goes for Aotearoa. Now, Aotearoa in Hawaii is the most remarkable one to me because there is no physical marker of Tonga to the south of Aotearoa, but they still use the word south. Tonga. Tonga is still the word south in the Maori language. Now, in Hawaii, there is no physical marker of Ko'olau, but they still use the word Ko'olau, which means Tokelau. Now, in the Samoan language, Tokelau is north of Samoa, Tonga is south of Samoa. When you go to Tonga, Tokelau is the word north, and then Saute is a borrowed word for the word south, the English word south. So, but I guarantee you, before the white man came and changed the word south, the previous word was Tonga. Now, what does this all mean? So, to me, that highly suggests that everybody derived from the one place that has the physical marker. The only place that has the physical marker is Samoa. Samoa has a physical marker of Tokelau to the north, which is the islands of Tokelau, and Tonga to the south, which is the islands of Tonga. So to me, that highly suggests that everybody came from Samoa during the time of the Tuimanua Empire. Because the objective of the Tuimanua Empire was to find these trade routes, expand, establish the trade routes, control the trade routes. But Tuitonga's empire, his objective was to be the dictator, the sole ruler of all this area. And it was easy for Tuitonga because those routes were already established during the time of the Tuimanua Empire. Now, I'd like to apologize ahead of time to all the Polynesian islands if I piss you off in video, but this is just my opinion. This is my theory, and I just use facts, tangible facts, to support my opinion and to support my theory. Oh, but feel free to poke holes in my argument. Feel free to poke holes and you know what I mean, and tell me I'm wrong. I'm all ears.
Thoughts, Masi? Any thoughts?
Um, so he's pretty much basing it on the navigation, north and south. Is that pretty much
Yes.
what I'm getting it?
Yes.
We need to have an episode with David Tafale. He did mention in some previous episode that he Tonga means south means was north, right? With the Tongan compass, and then south being north with the way the Polynesians navigate the islands.
Yes.
Um, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's kind of a weak point because if it was like we said, if there was an empire, there would have been some ruins in Manu'a, which is no ruins. Um, I don't know if that navigation has anything to do of where the empire started. Um, I mean, and I appreciate his feedback because this is all the discussion. I don't know if that's strong evidence what we provided. Well, I've also provided that the Tui Tonga title holders predate the Tui Manua, so it's hard for the Tui Manua to be an empire if they didn't even predate the Tui Tonga, which is older. Um, Manua didn't even suggest that there were even ruins to kind of signify that it was the headquarters of all of Polynesia.
Mm-hmm.
There's really nothing there. Um, but if some people base it on the navigation of To'elau and Tonga being the reason why and where it's located, they can make their decision on that. I think it's not as strong because I don't know how that's supposed to signify that it was the empire or that's where it originated from, because it's a pretty similar language for everybody in all the Pacific. So I don't know. That's just kind of my initial thoughts on that. But yeah.
Yes. Very, very interesting. Just a couple things to think of here real quick. So like you're saying, his position is Tokelau is north of Samoa and Tonga is south.
Hmm.
Okay. First off, when you're traveling large distances, right? Being very detailed on your coordinates and your directions is really critical, right? So is Tonga directly south? You're gonna miss Tonga. Assuming
Mm,
and we're taking his position,
mm.
right? And if everything is, like you're saying, is south and Tokelau's north, well, okay, even then Tokelau's north. But
But
how about how
even if you
about
go to
here?
Manua, yeah, even if you go to Manua, it's more east. You're gonna really miss Tonga on the south.
Yes,
You're gonna
yeah.
be closer hitting Niue,
No,
and
and
so Niue should have been Tonga.
that's what we're getting to. And
Yeah.
and because I agree with you, he is describing the directions correctly, but he is also missing out on what we're saying on what was the cardinal direction. As in, when we look at a map like this one right here, the Western map, when you just look at it and they don't identify north is always up,
Mm.
right? So that's kind of like the main cardinal direction. So, but once again, we're saying Manua,
Look, it's
which
more right there where Maya is Ofu.
oh, dude, that's even worse. Like you're
Yeah,
saying,
it's more hit Niue. So
if
Niue
you're
should have been
lucky,
Tonga.
yeah. Hey, and now that I'm looking at this, Shale, I didn't know Niue is bigger than Manua. Anyways, okay, all right. So first off, if we were to use his logic, then this is Manua, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like to refer to Samoa anymore as Samoa. I'm just gonna call it Ha'amoa because
Most part, yeah.
that's what we call them, and that's what we've always referred to them. So we have Ha'amo over here. So Manu'a is Tonga is not south of Manu'a. Okay.
Mm,
At best, you're looking at south southeast.
mm,
So being detailed in your direction as a master navigator is absolutely critical there. So, and then the other thing is like you're mentioning, and do you think it's worth pulling out Tevita Fale's map, or we can just describe it? I think we just describe it here for
yeah.
now. The cardinal direction, imagine, let's see if I can flip this. No, I can't flip. It's not Google Earth.
No, but
Uh,
I was thinking, isn't the way to navigate to Tonga was more using the Ha'amonga, right? Of the constellation of the stars to identify exactly if you were heading to the right island, because each island had its own specific constellation of stars to go. So it wasn't purely like what you said. When you're in the middle of the ocean and you try to figure out where north is and Tokelau, where Tonga, it's more sophisticated than that.
yes,
So
yes.
that's what I'm saying, because each island had a certain constellation of stars to get them directly where that island. Because if we just go, okay, this is making sure this is north or south. If you're coming from Manua, you're gonna be hitting Niue, and you're gonna be like Columbus when he goes to the newfound world saying this is India, and they call it
Name them
Indian Native
Indians.
American Indians when India
Yes.
was they're far away. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, so number one, that the cardinal direction doesn't make sense because like we are saying, Manua, you're going to totally miss Tonga. And so what's the the thinking then for the Cook Islands
Cook
is
Island.
Lalo Tonga.
Hmm.
So what exactly, so there's I don't know. I'm not quite buying it, even if I were to concede it to him. Like you're saying, there's our other data points that don't make sense. But the most important thing I think is, like you mentioned, in the ancient Polynesian kind of directional cardinal direction, south is was the north, right? That was the primary direction. So in a sense, that is where the focus would be, and everything would be focusing towards Tonga, looking southward, and everything would be northward with Tokelau.
Correct.
So that I'm not really kind of into that. And like you mentioned, there's a lot of questions on whether the Tu'i Manua was actually
Older than the
older.
Tupi.
So this is what they have on. They actually have 42.
Yeah. Could you get the Tongan Tuitonga list, Tua, and just do it side by side so we can let the viewers see, and we can work our way backwards and just see a lot of the gaps within the Tuimanua list.
I wonder how I can put it side by side because, oh, you know
Oh,
what?
okay.
I think I might be able to if I share my screen. If I just share a whole screen and have the two lists right next to each other. But just
Mm,
keep going on that thought,
yeah.
Masi, while I try to pull it up.
Yeah. No. So what Tua was bringing up the list. I've compared the lists going from their most recent Tuitonga compared to the Itafales Tuitonga list and the Tuimanua. There's a lot of gaps, and there's a lot of and granted, maybe this is not the list that the Tui Manua people have put it out, that's everything, but this is what I can this is so far what I found. And from what I found here, these are names that they've accumulated that were title holders, and these names do not predate the Tuitonga list from Tevita Fale, which is 54, which is much of the accurate and corrected version from the Catholics and Shirley Baker's list. So, and here's the thing, I would like say, even if they were going to put their list, you know, we know we've kind of identified the weaknesses of oral history being passed.
Mhm.
I don't know if they've able to identify where exactly these two Manua people are buried at. In even if they're in Manua or probably somewhere else, but the Tuitonga list is we can point out, and you like what you went with Terita Fale, where from 1 to 54, where they're all buried, and which location. because the Rita Fale has actually identified which burial. And granted, there could be more because we've only found so much in uh, in a time period, and there could be more. But that's so far we can at least say these are the amount of people that are buried in certain areas. So to me, that's a stronger evidence of which empire even existed. We've kind of given the argument that this could be a close relative of a Tangaloa that had some close ties to the Tuitonga, but to say that it originated the Polynesian Empire from Manu'a, well, we don't see that because we don't see a sophisticated society because they don't have the lists to prove it. They don't have the ruins to prove it, and those are the two big factors for me to suggest that it was just a close relative of the Tuitonga, but not an empire.
Okay. I'm gonna try and put these side by side real quick.
But I also enjoyed, and this is the thing that we wanted. We enjoyed the conversation of I didn't catch his name to it, but what he's suggesting, and that's all we want. We're just
Yeah.
trying to figure out the origin of our people so we can move forward and understanding the greater history of Polynesia.
His
But
name is Setu Henry Taifan, and he
yeah,
seems like a relatively nice guy,
yeah,
right? He's not being rude or disrespectful or anything. It's kind of fun, and this is the
yes,
conversations we need to have.
correct.
I'm going to see if I can share the screen, entire screen, and share. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, I need to change right there.
There we go. There we go.
And let me just zoom out a little bit, try and fit it all into one.
Yeah, and let me get the Lau Fili.
So right now, according to
Mm.
to
So
Wikipedia, there are 42, right?
yeah,
42 to Manu'a is the last one up to 1924, and then Laufiri Tonga to what was it, 1860?
I'm looking here that let me see, 1865 was
Yeah.
when the title was eliminated when he passed away.
So basically, we could technically start with this. It looks like a
Hmm.
female to
Yeah,
Manu'a.
yeah, which went by Yang. Her father was apparently a Palangi.
So 40 versus 52, right there.
Yeah.
So what was your kind of your thoughts on that,
So
Messi?
usually we get a base of 25. That's kind of like the base that historians kind of use, 25 years of each title holder. Granted, there's some that could be more and stuff, but that's usually the base. So if we're going 25 years from the Makerita Tui Manua title holder to Laufiri Tonga, and just go from each. So from 40, so what? Then gets to Terea, then goes, that's 10, then goes from, so 44, Terea, then a 34, Talafapite, and then 24, Tuitatui, and then, so it stops at what? Lomi Aitupua, the first, Uwaki.
Yeah,
It kind of stops
the
there.
14th to
Yeah.
Itonga.
So, so then you're missing, then that's what I'm saying. So far, they haven't gone back even further. And this is just, then now we've received more evidence of the scanning that Ao'etu could have been pushed back from
Even to the
450
BC. Yeah.
even to the BC. So that's what I'm trying to say is, to me, this is a strong indicator and evidence of there's no way that these two empires existed at the same time simultaneously. There had to be, Tuitonga was the supreme ruler of all Polynesia. So, and this was probably what I'm suggesting, that we're kind of saying that Tui Manua was more of a close relative that was respected by the Tuitonga because of probably they were uh, a younger sibling or a close relative of the Tangaloa clan. That's what we're
Yeah.
trying to say.
And then
But that's
honestly,
that's why I wanted to compare the list.
yeah. And before this conversation, that I before I kind of got into this conversation, I was very open to the idea that the Tui Manua descended from Tangaloa,
Mm-hmm.
like a title holder Tangaloa, right? Like Etu Matupua or someone,
Mm.
and that's where Tui Manua. But the more I dig into it, the fact that the Tui Tonga is possibly older and more than likely older, and from our position, the Tangaloa title ended when the Tui Tonga title came into existence. So they could have descended from a Tangaloa, but not a Tangaloa title holder. It would have been
Mm.
maybe
Maybe
multiple
a
generations after, but not a title holder to
yeah,
become the Tui Manua. And
yeah.
that's kind of my thoughts on that.
Well,
Is
no, I was
yeah,
gonna say to you know what? It couldn't even be a Tangaloa. Maybe they are a descendant of a Tuitonga. That's a little bit older. Because if you think about it, if it stops at the Lomi ai Tupua, maybe they could have been a descendant of Momo, Uluaki, Pegoi, Afulunga, Pegoi, Apunaya, or Kilua. Who? That's what I'm trying to say. Now, now it could have been a descendant of a Tuitonga
yeah,
clan.
100. And
Because
then
I'm
that's
telling you,
and
there's
that's what we're
14
getting to.
more. There's 14 more, and yeah, I'm
At
just
least
there.
at least
Yeah.
14 more because there
Yes.
could be more.
Correct. Correct.
Because these are the ones that Tevita Fale has only been able to identify
Where they're buried.
connected to a langi and a settlement, right?
Correct.
And we're looking at in certain areas of Tongatapu, there's tens of thousands of mounds, and who knows? I mean, yeah, I'm just not as convinced. But even the discussion on South, even when
Yeah.
we do the South, Manu'a is not even directly due north of Tonga,
Yes. Well, and that's the
right?
thing.
And yeah,
No, I was gonna say that usually, like what you said, the Polynesians don't have a room to make mistakes when they're traveling between islands because if you
yeah,
miss something, you're gonna starve and most likely die. And that was part of the reason why the Polynesian physically has one of the strong physical traits than probably most other ethnic groups because usually only the strongest survive.
it's
That's why.
difficult,
Yes,
hard on the body. Yep.
yes, yeah. But yeah, no, that's kind of my answer for our friend Henry Malo.
No, and that's the thing too is, and and what are your thoughts on his logic that you know the Tui Manua was, their primary goal was trade route, right? So trade, and the Tui Tonga was primarily dictatorship. Any thoughts on that?
The only story that I've kind of heard that was really a dictatorship was that I think is it Talagai Faiki Ua or something
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of the dictatorship. But I'm sure some dictatorship has happened. Not every emperor is a nice emperor. There's always going to be some people who's going to be different and maybe pick
Just
on.
like the fahu, you're always gonna
Yes,
get a crazy fahu every once in a while.
yeah, you're gonna get a emperor that's gonna be a little of a bully to some of its extended realms that are probably far away, and who knows, maybe. And we've kind of had this discussion. If certain island groups didn't come to the Polo Polo or certain Inasi, I'm sure that he would go to and visit that island, maybe bully them. I don't know. Who knows? But I, I'm just saying that. Uh, I don't think the two. Like I said, I don't know. I'm not gonna. Once we establish that Manua was an empire, then maybe I'll get a thought. They did try to have some certain trade routes, and we can talk about the Umiti because apparently when they did these trade routes and everything, then everyone came to Manua to do a Umiti. But once there's some sufficient evidence that first, if the Manua can be proven, it's older than the Tuitonga, and two, that there is empire that existed, then yeah, we can talk about
Hmm.
its reasons and position of how they kind of run their empire kind of thing. We know the Tonga Empire was mostly run with a Kava, and the women giving birth to the Tuitonga descendants, and they were being Aki wherever they were at in the islands, which certain island groups they were in. So that's how the Tuitonga mostly. There was a little bit here and there with the story with Samoa and some other probably stories, but that wasn't the norm. It just that mostly happened when the empire actually started to shrunk and you're trying to maintain power and you use probably physical military force.
Force.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm trying to find the one study that, and this is related to his position that the Tui Manua was focused on trade
Trading
routes.
routes. Yeah.
Have you been to Manua, Masi? Did you ever go there while
No,
you were on your mission?
I've only been to the Tutuila Island. Tutuila right there, the biggest island in
This
American
one right
Samoa.
here?
No, that's Upolu. Going more
Oh, so
right.
right here?
No. Oh, my right. Your left, Tua. So go to your left, where American Samoa is at. Tutuila. That's the
So
island
right here?
Tutuila. Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
I
Tutuila is
was there.
American Samoa.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been there. So I've been there. I was on. So you never went to Western Samoa?
No, I did. I've been to Upolu and
Okay.
Savai.
Okay. Oh, you mean that's the furthest east you went
Yes, I've
was
never gone
American
to Manu'a.
Samoa.
Yes, that's the
Okay.
furthest east.
So here's my first couple comments on this idea of a trade. Um, and let's say just say Samoa in general. And you can correct me, Masi. You were there for 2 years consistently. I was there for what, 3 weeks, whatever it was.
Mm,
Two things. I can't find the study, but they did a study of stone axes, right? Axe tool to work. When they did it for all the major Polynesian islands, 90% of all the 90 to 95% of all the axes that were found were like within the same island, whether it was Tahiti,
mm,
99% were from Tahiti, Samoa, same thing. When they went to Tonga, it was almost like a
opposite.
55-45
Mm,
mix. They
mm,
were finding stone from Tahiti, Samoa, Hawaii, all over Polynesia. They
Polynesia.
were finding those stones on Tongatapu, right? One would assume that if Tatui Manua was primarily a trading empire, if you want to call it, or based, you would find a heck of a lot of stone in Manua from all over Polynesia.
Polynesia.
But that from that study, that wasn't the case in
Mm,
Samoa. The other thing that I found kind of interesting is this. When I was in Samoa and I went to the market,
mm-hmm.
99% of the market was banana and talo. That was
Yeah.
like 99%.
Yeah.
When you're in Tonga, you have what? 8
Hopa.
types of talo, you have 8 types
Kaku.
of plantain, like
Ufi. Yeah.
ufi, endless types of ufi. You find a very diverse amount. And the reason why I'm saying this is that seems to be more of evidence of a center of an empire that
Mm,
trades,
mm,
right? That's the
mm,
trade. And so that to me kind of goes against our brother's position that, oh, the Tui Manua and the Samoan Empire was all about trade. Then we should see a diverse origin of stone tools and a diverse amount of crops found
mm,
there. And so far from my experience and observation during my time in Samoa, I did not see, and granted, things may have increased by then, but in regards to traditional or commonly used crops, I didn't see a high diversity of crops.
mm.
Any thoughts on that, or anything I may have missed on that?
No, you're correct. Most of the things that I ate together with your meat and other things was taro and bananas, and that's why most of it is sold that way. While in Tonga, there's a lot more diverse. Occasionally, I'll have they call it it's the ufi, but you know the ufi vow you that's really hard. That sometimes the ufi can grow in the vow. There's certain places. I think it's
Mm-mm.
Ewa. It's in Ewa. There's a certain ufi vow kind of thing. I've had that occasionally, but it's not the same ufi like in Tonga when it takes a lot of work,
Well,
a
and
lot of
there's tons of ufi, right? That's the
yes,
thing.
different.
When you say ufi, a Tongan
There's a
will say, "Well, what kind of ufi?" There's like a
correct,
little ton. Same thing as sweet potato. Multiple varieties of sweet potato, diversity
correct.
of options.
And sweet potato is not a popular thing in Samoa. So that's what I'm saying. In Tonga, there's so much variety of like kumala, ufi, kape, even hopa, which is hopa. I did have what Samoans will call hopa. They call it just fai Samoa, which is a bigger version of a banana. But most of the time, it's what they usually sell as a staple substance in Samoa is just the banana and taro. But but yeah, I mean, it's not as diverse as the Tongan markets.
Yeah. And when we say diverse, we're talking about traditionally. These are not Kumala and Ufi and stuff that was introduced, from my
Mm,
knowledge,
mm, mm,
recently within the
mm.
last 100 years. We're talking about it's been there for basically
Yeah,
ever, right? I
yeah.
mean, so I know we got a little carried away. We will with our comments. Let's see if there's any comments from here. Um, let's see.
Comments or questions or maybe something we missed
Yes.
or somebody's see something in a different angle or something or more evidence that a
So,
tui manua.
yeah, if a civilization were to find our fossils, they'll think we were Chinese. Everything has been made in China, or 100%. That's a big. I'm a big believer in that position, man. If they did a study on Western civilization right now, they'd say, "Oh, they all came from China because everything was made in China," right? Um, uh, let's see here. Here's an interesting comment from God Loves You. For us, Maori, north was down, so kind of like to drop or to plant, different rolau leaf or top place or flat. See, that's the thing, right? The north, in the traditional sense of sensing direction, south was upwards and north was downwards.
Mm, mm.
Yeah, here's an interesting thing. Nacho said that's true. My dad invited a Samoan friend over for barbecue, and he was shocked when he asked, "What is a manioke?" Did you ever have
Yeah.
manioke in Samoa?
No, no, but there were some families that had manioke, but they mostly used it to either to feed their animals and stuff, but it wasn't something that they can eat. It was more of like a thing that they can because most of the Samoans would prefer, most of the hot Moors would prefer talo or bananas. That was like their two go.
Mm,
Occasionally I'll have kape, which is like kaamu, and never had manioke. Um, and occasionally had that ufi. It was they call it. I've only had it like one time, but it was like, and I remember a friend having it, but it's like in the bowl. You can just, I remember
just a
getting it somewhat
wild version.
wild. Yes, it was like a wild grown in the vow kind of thing. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And I mean, even the manioke, there's like what, four different types of manioke in Tonga.
yeah, you can go manioke
So
enga. There's some whiter ones, which is a different. Yeah.
so interesting. All right, let's get a couple more comments. Let's look and here, let's just look at some of the things here. And here was the comment I gave him. Appreciate the thoughts on your naming of the direction
Mm,
is correct, but the physical evidence we are speaking about is ruins. He does give a response to that, and we'll look
hmm
at that video. Here's Charles Bowono says, I want to speak up about this, but they've been so. This is a comment I get all the time. I'm seeing like, oh, they're so disrespectful.
mm.
It's like the only way to be respectful is to say you're right.
No, and that's
I
and
feel
that's
that's the
why.
way I'm feeling.
No, and that's the
Go ahead,
thing.
Masi.
No, no, you're right. It's almost up to the point of like letting somebody tell their little lie and just like, okay, we'll just believe your lie. But we're not saying it's a lie. I'm just saying, I'm just using it as an analogy. We're not being disrespectful. We're just saying, dude, this is the evidence we have, and we're pretty we're you know I feel like we've been at least some logic into it and having some physical evidence, but we're not. It might be like I said, if people believe this thing that there's an empire that existed so much, then of course they're gonna feel some kind of feel offensive. I think that's more of the word. Feel
Yeah.
offensive instead of we're not. I don't think we're being disrespectful because we're just trying to understand the origin of the Polynesian history. But
No, 100%. And here's the kind of go along with what you're saying. No, the reason of their podcast is they don't want to admit that the Tui Manu'a ruled and reigned over all of the Pacific when all scholars have explained it. Okay, we do understand that there was a time where all the scholars said there wasn't a single Tui Manua who knew how to paddle a boat farther than 200 feet from their own island, because
mm,
all the scholars agreed that all our ancestors did not know how to navigate. So back then we should have just accepted what the scholars said, right?
mm,
I mean,
mm,
just because the scholars say it doesn't mean that, kind of like I think we just released a short today or yesterday, Masi, of you explaining we have this idea that if someone has a degree or a PhD, then everything they say is 100% facts,
yeah.
right? And that's not the case. Like, that's not what education is about. That's not what the scientific method is about. Though the scientific method is about doubting and asking questions. And yet
Mm.
we're having these type of discussions here. Any thoughts on that, Masi?
um, no, I mean, like I said, the scholars don't really know. They, like I said, the scholars are from Western institution that are as drive to understand the society that we kind of live now. And that's why even scholars who even predicted the world was going to end when they were trying to understand the Mayan calendar, they said, I don't know, I forgot
Yeah,
the year, the 2012 or something. They said the
2012. The
2012
world's gonna end.
because that was the Mayan calendar. They said they were trying to understand. Look, they didn't even get it right. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Well,
Especially, and this is the critical part when it comes to Western scholars trying to understand a non-Western ethnic group's culture. We're talking about thousands of years that was philosophy and just the way they think is very different. They're most likely gonna be wrong, like 99% of the time they're gonna be wrong. So that's what I'm trying to say, and it's and there's unfortunately a lot of our people are thinking that these guys have the answers, and that usually the people who only go for them for answers is when they're not even sure within themselves about Polynesian history. So that's like their source. So
yeah.
yeah,
In many ways, the blind leading the blind from our perspective, even though
correct.
we understand a lot of the other people think we're blind and we're crazy. Okay, that's fair. Everybody has a
Yeah,
right to think
yeah,
what they want to think. And I think we'll just end with this video. Masi, we'll just go through these comments. And I think
okay,
we're good. We're just over 2 hours here. And I do, unfortunately, this is the night gig. The bills
yes.
still have to be worked and paid for. Here's a couple other. The royal family knows. What does this word mean, Masi?
It's kind of like a inappropriate curse word.
This
It's
part, this part
yeah,
is the swear. Okay,
yeah,
these little shiz nuts
yeah.
are
He was
commoners who
almost
sit on the
yeah.
ground. Yeah, when royalty are at their functions. Okay. Any do you have any response to that, Masi? Any thoughts?
Um, I don't know. I don't know. So what? This guy doesn't know that everyone has a role within Polynesian society. So I don't know what he's trying to say. So the roles are supposed to explain our history instead of us trying to find out for ourselves. So I don't know. I don't know what they're really
Yeah.
trying to say. But like we've already explained our unique history, and that's why we kind of speak on it. We're only the families that have a langi. I know, is it Islander 685801? His ancestors are probably buried at a Western paid cemetery. Like everybody else, we're at a Langi where the Tuitongas have been buried. So that's where we're coming from. We're not saying this because we have degrees. but we have degrees to make the Western money to have our families live and to do our obligations. We're not coming from that perspective to explain the history, but yeah, we're coming off this because of our heritage, and I think Dad even explained it really well. He's saying usually these things are talking regarding my family, so that's all we're kind of
Yeah.
doing is just talking about our family,
And
and this is our family. Unfortunately, is the reason of the Tongan Empire that used to exist. That's all it is.
yes, I mean, and this a prime example is when we reacted to Opetitariai's video,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Out of all the things he could have picked and all the stories he could have picked of the Tuitongas and so forth, he happened to pick the one that we are very familiar with for
yes.
very specific reasons. And
Yeah.
so my response is Islander, number one, royal families do not just no single individual knows all things, regardless of whether you're royal or not.
Mm,
Right. And number two, we don't know you, you don't know us. You know, let's just we'll keep it that way. And then here's another comment. Seriously, these two trying to become successful podcast, but this is the wrong way going about. So I don't know what to say. I mean, I feel we're respectful. We're inviting. We ask people like we've asked multiple right here.
mm.
Please join us. We're just having a conversation. You know,
And
have
didn't
ideas compete.
no, yeah, not, and Tua, didn't you say we're gonna have a person that was gonna present on the Tui Manua, but they haven't come yet?
This it was Charles. We've invited
Okay,
Charles. We've
okay.
invited Charles. That's why he mentioned earlier he's wanted to speak up, but he feels we're being disrespectful. So he's kind of like, when we're not trying to be disrespectful. I don't know how else to say that. I feel like just because we disagree, therefore we're being disrespectful. So if I take that position, then all of your guys' explanations of the Tui Manua is disrespectful to me. If so, it doesn't make any sense. If I just say your position is disrespectful, and then I say you're disrespectful, therefore we get nowhere.
Mm,
So yeah.
mm,
And here the podcast, we're asking questions, we want to have conversations. We
mm.
talk about a variety of topics. History is one of them. We talk about, you know, Clyde Moore here says I bring them to Sunday school too much because we talk about church stuff, we talk about sports, we talk about politics. We're just having a conversation.
No, and just
Nah,
to add on, like we're just doing this, but like I said, this is a night gig tour, right? This is
yeah,
more of a hobby. We don't have anything to make this a money generating thing, so we will quit our jobs and do and do this full time. We're just doing this to try to provide a platform for all of Polynesia to understand more about the Polynesian history. That's all it is.
yeah. No, and that's the thing is, unfortunately, and we've explained this 1,000 times. So hopefully the viewers that are consistently watching and listening, Tonga as an independent nation, Samoa as an independent nation, Hawaii, Tahiti, all of the islands, those are Western constructs that came about because the Western powers were cutting up all of the islands, right? And so that's why we refer to Ha'amoa as a quote unquote nation, Hawaii. We we have to recognize that we were all one people in one country. That's what it is.
Mm,
We were all one country. We all spoke basically the same language. We all had the same knowledge. Only one difference, where the capital was.
mm,
And there's a reason why Tonga was able to survive, and it was really the collective experience and knowledge of the entire Polynesian Empire. And Polynesians should look at Tonga's survival as evidence of our ancestors. We should look at it as a collective. It is not all Tonga survived independently on their own. Like we mentioned, there was certain experiences of a Samoan structure that developed because of the Tuitonga's decline
Mm.
that Tonga implemented, that Tupou the First leveraged in order to help Tonga remain independent. And if he didn't have that piece of knowledge or experience from Samoa that was being implemented at the right time, at the right place, there's a good chance Tonga wouldn't survive
Be
colonization.
correct.
So we
Yeah.
should look at what I'm trying to get to is we should look at Tonga as just this independent, isolated country. Tonga is a representation of what our ancestors were able to achieve as a community, as a nation, and we should all be proud of it as one people.
Mm.
That's what we're trying to say, but everybody wants to kind of cut off Samoa and Ha'amoa and Hawaii. It's like, in a sense, I understand we have to speak that way because that's how we understand the world, but I don't know. Starting to
Um.
go in circles. Any thoughts, Masi?
Yeah. No. Did you look at the Manu'a flag tour? It's pretty
No,
interesting. The
no.
Manu'a flag has a moa on it,
Yeah,
and that
I've seen that. Yes, I've seen it.
yes, and that is close to what the definition of the Tongan word for those group of islands of being a clan of Moa. So
Yes.
so that's what I'm saying. It could be that the Manu'a Islands are probably the older parts of that group of islands in Upolu and Savai that they still remember that they are the Moa clan or something. There could be descendants of the Manu'a with that thing, and they've kind of that resembles the Tongan definition of calling Ha'amoa. They're just the
Yes.
Moa clan. So I just
Yes.
thought that was interesting when I was watching some. I think it was the Fest Pack. They had this festival thing that was in Hawaii, and I saw
Yes.
Manu'a come in, and I saw their flag, and I said, "Hey, I didn't know it was a chicken because I've never seen a flag." I was like, "Dude, that's probably had played some origin to the word Ha'amoa. Maybe that's what I'm just saying because they are literally the clan of Moa. So
Yes. And if I mean, I'm just going off the top of my head, they use the rooster slash chicken as some kind of navigational tool, if I remember correctly, and I don't know, can't remember exactly how or why. Here's another thing, um, right here. Um, yes, Savaii and Hawaii are the same name, and it is in reference to Vaihi,
yes,
is which where we come from. And I know some of our Samoan brothers and sisters didn't like it when I mentioned that because they point to Hawaii and claim that Hawaii is named after Savaii,
yeah.
and that's not our position. Our position is that points to Vaihi. Any thoughts on
Tua.
that, Masi?
No, and there's a place here where I took Devita Fale. There's a place called Vaihi in New Zealand, which is called Waihi, and we went there. It's right by the kind of ocean coastal area of New Zealand. So there's other words that's reference to, Hawaii, even within Tonga. So I think Dad even mentioned in places in Tonga Tapu and Ha'apai. So
Yes,
it's not it's just more people just think it's Hawaii and Hawaii, but there's because they're in
all over Polynesia.
they're all over Polynesia, even here in New Zealand. It's about 2 hours away from where I live in South Auckland. I can go, and that's a reference to Waihi, where we
Yeah.
originated from, the
Well,
Americas.
and that's the other thing too is because of Tongan oral history says we come from Vaihi, the faraway land. Savaii is not far away from how our ancestors used to travel, right?
Yes, yeah, yeah,
That's like next door neighbor. When we're thinking about faraway land, when they're consistently traveling 4,000, 5,000 miles,
yeah,
I'm sorry, but Savaii, the island of Savaii is not far away. If Hawaii wasn't the faraway land, then definitely Savaii is not the faraway land.
yeah.
Here's Nacho. Nacho's got some jokes here. Supposedly that moa was supposed to be the giant moa, but someone had too much kava and pictured a chicken.
Hey, who knows? Because the big giant
The
moas in New
moa.
Zealand, and isn't
Yeah.
there like a place in Tonga, is it Fonua Moa or something? The road Moa, named after the big moas in New Zealand. I forgot the name, but that's another
Hmm.
deep history. That usually when people would come to Tonga, they had this road of the more because they brought. I don't know if it's some Tongan navigators, Polynesian navigators that went and got some more from New Zealand, but who
Yeah.
knows, man?
Where is Hawaii now? In my opinion, Tonga, Samoa, and the islands are the surviving mountains of Hawaii. It's underwater, the Great Pacific Ocean. Any thoughts on that, Mussy, where Waihi is?
Um, my position is Vaihi is from the Americas. I believe it could be um, somewhere from southern Mexico. There's a place called Chacula, which can be a reference of kula being very important color for Akis. Red is a very big significance. So it could be somewhere from there, Dua, but I don't know specifically where exactly in the Americas. But Vaihi is what I mean of Hawaii, which is more of a modern name to compared
Mhm.
to Waihi, is from the Americas. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't think it would be under the Pacific Ocean, but I don't know. That's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, definitely. I same position, and some of the reasons why we point that way is the mound building that is found on Tongatapu and so forth is found throughout the Americas. The Sun
The
Gate, the
Sun Gate.
Ha'amonga, is also found in the
Mm,
Americas. The same kind of political structure of kings are found in the
mm,
Americas. So there are just a lot of different layers of evidence. You can point, some people point to some of the agricultural, the sweet potatoes. Some people even um, point to genetic. There are some genetic ties, and a lot of relations to that. So that's kind of the position we take right now.
mm.
Brown monk here. We came to the direction of the rising sun. You can see the gate of the sun. Yes, we definitely have that same thought as well. Brown monk.
Mm,
Um, if we look at the older ancient maps from the 1500s earlier, what we know as the Pacific now was land. It's now flat. I have seen some of that. Chanel is I saw an article that, like New Zealand, the North Island and South Island are basically the tops of a mountain,
mm,
and that the one of the lost continents is that, and that it got flooded. But I did read an article something similar to that. Um, we are the people of the sun. There's a lot of truth to that. I mean, there's a reason why in poetic terms the king of Tonga, whether it was the Tui Tonga or Tangaloa or even the
mm.
Tupou family now, they're
Mm,
referred to as the sun in
correct.
poetic terms. And even when the Mataapules speak, they'll say go la'a o Tonga, and that's in many ways a poetic and symbolic reference to the king of Tonga.
Mm,
Hey, Chanel, I appreciate the comments, appreciate the interactions.
Malo Chanel.
Let's see here. I think, yeah, we pretty much, well, let me see. Think, yeah, that's all the comments on this, I believe. Yeah. So, Malo, everyone,
Mm.
we're coming to the end. Masi, any closing thoughts? Anything you want to share?
No, appreciate everyone's interaction. Malo, this is just a discussion, just trying to know more about our history. Thank you, Tua, for driving this. You're the reason why we have this. I appreciate everything you do, and yeah, that's about it. Appreciate everyone's interaction. Wish everyone the best. Um, you know, we talked about some important things regarding the pressures and some of the holistic well-being of our people kind of overseas and probably in the islands, just be more positive and just be able to find a source of some positivity to maintain a positive perspective and good well-being because life is only gonna get unfortunately harder because that's how it is. Looks like every year is brings with new technology. There's a new way to deal with it, good and bad. So we just have to be more capable people to try to navigate that, just like our ancestors navigating the Pacific Ocean. But no, malo everyone's participation tonight. Malo ofat.
Okay, Malo Mashi. Um, my closing thoughts, man. I really enjoy the interactions and the questions from the viewers and the listeners. It's always fun. I love these digital kava sessions. I think we're settled. That's going to be the name of our lives. Our digital kava sessions here. We appreciate everyone's interaction, and really, from my perspective, the podcast kind of forum is a representation of how kava was for our ancestors, right? Because when you had a kalapu or a kava session with our ancestors, everybody came together, everyone shared ideas, they discussed what was they were seeing in their neck of the woods, and it was that information sharing and knowledge sharing that really propelled our people for thousands and thousands of years. And that's what a podcast does. It really is a bringing together of ideas, of minds, of questions and thoughts, and we have a discussion. So for me, our ancestors have been doing podcasts for thousands of years. We're just taking the modern day podcast system and merging it with our kava tradition
Mm.
and approach, and that was really what made kava valuable, was the bringing together of the people. And so once again, greatly appreciate it. We've seen a big increase in the listens on our audio podcasts. Once again, we're going to cut up these lives and make them series or episodes on the podcast. And you can find those on Amazon, Audible, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. So feel free to add that to your phones. That's just another way in case you aren't able to catch us, because we are the night birds, right? We have to do this. This is the night gig,
Uh,
the side gig. And so not
Unless it's
everybody can be here.
yeah, no, unless it's a holiday that New Zealand and America falls on the same day, and we can do it during a day when everyone is not sleeping. But yeah, this is what we do to navigate. Because like this is not easy being a time difference all the way from Texas and New Zealand. It's a huge time difference and also different days. So we do our best.
But once again, I appreciate everyone's time. Stay curious, and
Mm,
always, I think it was Benjamin Franklin who always said, question everything with boldness. And that's
mm.
what we're doing.
Oh,
Question
I
with
like that.
boldness.
Oh,
So, with that being said, have a great evening. And until our next digital kava session, stay safe. Peace.
wow.